Welcome to our virtual audience tuning in, as well as our audience here in-house. I'm Connor, and I am one of your lovely hosts this evening, as well as the producer of story number 1. We ask you to sit on your sofa, lay down the lazy boy, and or take a seat, and prepare yourselves for a night to remember. The voices of the Loft present a trio of thrilling tales, stories of mysticism, murder, and mayhem. While our assistants disinfect the booths.
Alexa Grace, I need to find a house, but I have a difficult wish list.
Tell me more.
It needs to be haunted.
What?
Yeah, I just think it'd be so cool to live in a haunted house, but I can't find a realtor to help me.
Wait, with ghosts and monsters and all that scary stuff?
Yeah?
Well, I know the perfect guy. Chuck Ekberg is dedicated and a real estate agent who will take on any challenge.
But,
Don't worry. I know this can be stressful, but Chuck Ekberg works hard to maximize outcomes for his clients.
okay, Alexa Grace, I'm gonna trust you on this one. I'll call Chuck Ekberg to find my ideal haunted house.
Are we clean? Thank you. Now, allow me to welcome our esteemed players. Actors, take your places for story number 1.
Hello.
What are you looking at, huh?
It's chilly
Got
outside.
a problem? No? Quit looking. Okay.
Hey, you're the guy from Spider-Man New Delhi, right?
Oh, yeah, that's me.
I recognize you. I saw that movie last week. It was so good.
Thank you.
I've never seen that movie.
Shut up.
Oh, the music in the end was really good. I like the musical number in the end. The musical number in the end.
Would you shut up? Huh? You're being so loud. I can't. And you can say, shut up, all right?
No, guys, we can't hear each other because our masks are still on. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
You know
Okay.
you forget.
Now introducing our players. Emma-Belle Johnson.
Hi.
Timothy Stills.
Hello.
Felly Robin.
It's actually Felix.
Val Coney. Norm Lundergaard.
Hey there, everybody.
And Anthony Waltz.
Hello, listeners.
As well as our sound technicians, Jason Melbourne, Courtney Reynolds, and Alicia Kane. Now, before we begin, another word from our sponsors.
Grandma, I need your help. What is it now? I don't know what I'm going to do about saving for college. Well, let me tell you what I did for my retirement fund. You see this big bag of doubloons? Yeah. Well, I took them over to GT Financial and they helped me put them away for retirement. But, Grandma, I'm not retiring. What can they do for me? Well, they can also help you financially plan for college while simultaneously helping you save for retirement. Wow. Yeah, have a plan. Be the star of your financial future. GT Financial.
And now, our first thriller, written by Rudyard Kipling and adapted by Leah Jensen. Sit back, relax, and enjoy The Mark of the Beast. Cue sound in 5, 4, 3.
In the last few hours of 1889, I watched a mass of Englishmen in various uniforms file into their station on the edge of Dharamsala. They paraded down the streets, ignoring the poor and the hungry, huddled together for warmth, greeting each other with gregarious laughter and shouting.
It's been so long.
The people of Dharamsala were careful to lock their doors and cover their windows for the night ahead. You see, during the day they could predict the abuses of these Englishmen. But at night they could only anticipate the horrors these beasts might commit. As I turned to walk, a man on his horse raced by, nearly cutting me down. I yelled after him, "Gati kaam karo!"
Look out, you twit!
The disrespect. I shook my head and started walking to the temple of Hanuman.
The door to the station slammed open, and appearing at its entrance stood the ever-jovial fleet.
Hello, my fellow Englishmen.
I can't tell you how beautiful it is to see a room full of white faces!
Hey, it's Fleet!
Someone get me a drink. I just inherited my uncle's estate.
Strickland of the police and I walked to our good friend Fleet and shook hands with him.
Congratulations, Master Fleet. Where is your new estate?
Just 2 kilometers east of the village in the Himalayas. It's beautiful. Spectacular landscape and creatures of all sorts. My uncle won it after the last Indian rebellion in '57.
Brilliant. Lockwood and I shall have to visit sometime. I, for one, have always been mystified by the beauty of the Himalayas.
Hey, look at what I found in the garden. It's a hedgehog, all curled up. Let's see how it fares as a billiard ball.
Let's play. Come on, friends.
I'll grab us some drinks.
What a good man you are.
I walked to the bar.
What can I grab ya?
3 sherry and bitters. When I returned, the hedgehog had uncurled itself and attempted an escape, causing a whole chase to ensue.
Hey, there it goes.
Quick, grab it. Don't let it get away. I found that on my own.
Sorry for the little creature. In his
Don't
madness,
hurt it.
his body
It'll
met the
totally
bulk
get.
of a soldier and he flew across
Don't
the room,
hurt
landing
it.
next
Don't
to
kick
the
it.
open door.
He's by the
I
door.
got
Be
up
careful.
and ran out, limping slightly. And I looked back at Strickland and Fleet, who were laughing with delight. I handed them their drinks and suggested we should find a table. We hadn't been at our table for more than 10 minutes when Fleet had finished his drink and ordered a whole bottle of champagne and a tray of desserts for the table. He poured us all glasses. And when he was on his second glass, he stood and addressed the crowd, saying,
A toast to my friends. To Her Majesty Queen Victoria, Empress of India, long may she reign!
Hear, hear!
And to India, the crown jewel of the British Empire, may it forever stay that way!
Yeah! It's almost midnight. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year!
Strickland, Fleet and I's first act of the new decade was to fill our bellies with all the whiskeys and sodas we could manage. Fleet outdid us both. After his 5th whiskey soda, he decided he needed coffee. But he added cognac to the brew for good measure. A game of billiards started and Fleet joined with a mug of beer in hand. And at 2:30, Fleet took the polo championship cup from behind the bar, held it above his head and proclaimed,
I am the master of all polo. I am the king of polo.
Indeed, you are.
Mr. Strickland, Mr. Lockwood, I proclaim so that all can hear, you are my most dearest friends.
Last call!
My dearest friends, let us end this night with a glass of brandy.
As Fleet walked to the bar, he suddenly doubled over and retched into the polo championship cup. It was at this moment we decided to form a guard of dishonor to take Fleet back home. We gathered our coats and said our goodbyes to all those left at the station. We entered the cold night air and began our journey to Fleet's estate.
God save our right gracious.
This is not.
You get me off beat.
What are the words?
You can't. Oh, my sleep was suddenly broken by the sound of men loudly singing some nonsensical version of God Save the Queen. It was late at night, and the only people in the temple were myself, a devotee, and a sadhu, in the late stages of leprosy, who was known only as the Silver Man. Curious to find the source of this noise, I entered the sanctuary where Hanuman's idol stood. And through the doorway, I saw 3 Englishmen appear, with one of them walking towards Hanuman.
Would you look at that thing?
Come on, Fleet. We need to get moving. We're not gonna make it to your estate till sunrise.
I recognized the man immediately. Not more than a few hours ago, he had almost run me over with his horse. Dread filled my heart. He walked into the sanctuary. Lighting a cigar he pulled from his pocket. As he passed, he smiled viciously, patting my back. While I have a decent grasp of the English language, in that moment, fear filled me, and I couldn't find the words. I tried to ask him, what are you doing? But he just blew smoke in my face and laughed. His breath smelled of smoke and alcohol.
Really, Fleet? It is time we left.
I want to give my respects to this creature.
Before I could react, the man leapt towards Hanuman, grinding his cigar into the god's forehead, and fell into the god's lap. This disrespect could not go unchecked.
See that? Mark of the beast. I made it. Isn't it fine?
Fleet! My god, man! What the hell has got into you? We need to leave, now!
No. Good old Hanuman makes for a good pillow.
I started to move towards them to forcibly throw out this criminal and his friends. But not a moment later, the silver man appeared from behind Hanuman. Though his eyes were hidden by the gross on his face, he turned to me and nodded. And I knew at once he would exact revenge for Hanuman. He leapt towards the perpetrator, burying his face to the man's chest. The other men pulled him off, but it was done. He had already marked him. The silver man ran back behind Hanuman, and the other Englishmen went after him. But I stepped in their way, and with a firm voice this time, I told them, "Take your friend away. He has done with Hanuman, but Hanuman has not done with him."
You watch your tongue, boy! Put an arm around Fleet and dragged him out of the temple.
Stop!
The shame of what had just happened followed us into the dark. I couldn't meet the eyes of anyone on the walk back to Fleet's estate.
That was the stupidest thing I have ever seen. We're lucky to be alive. He could have killed us without a second thought. If I were you, Fleet, I would thank your stars that you escaped without any major injury. What did that creature do to you? I couldn't see in the scuffle.
Do you smell that? It makes me sick. Who allows the slaughterhouses to be so close to the English residences?
What smell? I don't smell anything.
You can't smell the blood? It's overpowering.
Finally, we arrived at Fleet's estate just as the sun began to rise. A servant answered the door and led us to Fleet's room. We laid him in his bed and took off his boots. And as he lay there, I noticed him scratching at the left part of his chest. Satisfied with our work, we closed the door behind us and started our journey to our homes.
I don't like it. They should have mauled us. We should have left with cuts and bruises at the very least. What do you think that man meant by Hanuman not being done with him?
Maybe he meant the managing committee of the temple will send a criminal action against us for insulting their religion.
We can only hope that that is all they will do.
We parted and returned home. I lay down in my bed and tried to forget the events of the past few hours.
After the men left, I turned back to Hanuman, tears filling my eyes. But then the silver man appeared from behind the statue and began to fix the cigar burn. It was like magic. While I originally thought it was permanently damaged, he restored Hanuman, making him like new. And the only evidence left of last night's injustice was the lingering anger that seemed to hang in the air. I began the morning puja with those who had entered. I prayed for victory against evil.
I woke at around noon with a dull headache and an empty stomach. But before I even began breakfast, a messenger came with a note from Strickland.
Meet me at Fleet as soon as you can. I feel as though we are not out of the woods with him yet.
After letting my cook know I would be at Fleet's for the rest of the day, I quickly rode to his estate. When I arrived, Fleet was sitting at the dining room table sucking the last bit of an underdone chop from the bone.
Give me more of those chops.
A man who can eat raw meat after a heavy night of drinking is a curiosity.
I suppose that's true, but it's the only thing that satisfies my hunger.
Good, Lockwood, you're here. Fleet, show him your mark on your chest.
Such strange mosquitoes in these parts. I've been bit to pieces, but only in one spot.
Unbuttoning his shirt, Fleet revealed a mark on the left side of his chest. There were 5 or 6 blotches, similar to leopard spots. They were dark and seemed to be seared into his skin.
It was only pink earlier. It's grown black now.
Another platter of underdone chops was brought into the room. Fleet bolted towards them, taking the platter out of the server's hands. He devoured 3 of them in an instant, like an animal feasting on its prey. He didn't seem to care that his shirt was open or that we were still in the room. When he finished, he looked at us with a mess of blood around his face.
I don't think I've ever been so hungry in my life.
Strickland implored me to stay for the next few days. I obliged him and sent a man for some of my clothes. And it was then we decided to go for a ride. So we went to the stables. When we entered, the horses bucked and screamed. The ones closest to Fleet were hugging in the furthest corner of their pens, their eyes darting wildly and the whole body shivering.
I am so sorry, gentlemen. I don't know what has gotten into them. They were content not a moment ago. To be honest, I've never seen a horse act like these.
They seem afraid of you, Fleet.
Nonsense. My mare is the most loyal animal I've ever owned. Look, I'll show you.
Fleet unlocked the gate, and the horse flung herself into him, knocking him to the ground and running off into the wild. But instead of chasing after the animal, Fleet just sat there.
Master Fleet, are you all right? I'll go after it right away.
No, don't bother. I'm feeling tired anyways. I think I'm going to lie down.
As you wish, sir.
Have you noticed anything strange about Fleet's behavior?
I thought he ate his breakfast rather oddly. Of course, that could just be the result of having spent so far away from refined society.
What worries me the most is that unnerving mark upon his chest. Have you ever seen anything like it?
No, I haven't. But that could be explained by any number of insects. Blister flies, for instance. Or maybe it's a newly appearing birthmark made visible by the change in climate. Whatever it is, I do agree it isn't pleasant.
Let's go find his mare. Maybe his attitude will change when he wakes up.
Strickland and I rode out into the veranda. Our own horses seemed lethargic from the afternoon's episode, and neither of us spoke during the search, other than to call attention to any signs of the mare. We found the mare about 1.5 kilometers away from the estate. It was exhausted and skittish. We managed to calm it down enough to bring it back to the stables by evening. And sundown brought with it the bitter cold, so we lit torches for light and warmth. As we walked back to the estate, we noticed the figure of some beast pawing its way through the dirt underneath the orange trees. As we got closer, we realized the beast was none other than Fleet.
What the devil is wrong with you?
Nothing. I've been gardening, botanizing. I love the smell of the earth. I think I'm going for a walk. A long one. All night.
Come on. You're gonna catch a fever out here. Let's go in and have dinner.
No! Let's have dinner out here. It's beautiful out tonight. We'll have more of those chops. Lots of them. Underdone and bloody.
Enough! Come inside at once.
The lamps inside the house revealed Fleet's shocking appearance. He was covered in mud and dirt. An unnatural green shone behind his eyes, and his expression was manic. He cowered from the light and bolted into his room, slamming the door shut. So we resolved to have dinner without him, assuming he would need some time to at least clean himself. But during dinner, we heard him thrashing in his room. Strickland and I decided to investigate, and suddenly, the most disturbing noise I ever heard in my life erupted. When people talk about hair standing on end or blood running cold, they usually mean it as some amusing anecdote. I can tell you, these sensations are nothing to be laughed at. My heart stopped. Strickland turned white as a sheet. The howl was heard again. He was answered by some beast out in the veranda. We broke down the door to Fleet's room and witnessed him attempting an escape out of his window. Stop this, Fleet! Come now, get away from there! Fleet! Fleet! Strickland grabbed a boot jack and struck Fleet with it while I quickly moved a sill on his chest. While Fleet snarled and scratched at me, Strickland restrained him with some belts he found in the closet. The whole affair was beyond anything I could rationalize. I tried to say, rabies, but my mouth couldn't form it. I knew it was a lie. Strickland, I sent for Dr. Dumois.
It's no good. The doctor can't help him.
After nightfall, the silver man beckoned me to walk with him. Though he was blind, he moved purposefully, leading me into the mountains. And when we reached a sprawling house, he stopped and pointed to it. And as if on cue, a terrifying howl erupted from it, followed by shouting and screaming. Something tried to escape from a window, but a group of hands pulled it back in. My first instinct was to run inside and help the people, but the silver man put a hand on my chest, stopping me. I recognized the horse galloping frightfully through this field. This was his revenge on the Englishman, and he needed me to be a witness. I saw someone leave the house, so I guided us behind some trees.
Dr. Dumois came early in the morning to examine what was left of Fleet. When she walked in, a mix of terror and disgust washed over her face. She tried to examine him as best she could without getting bit or scratched at.
In all my years practicing medicine, I have never seen anything like this. Has he been bitten by some kind of animal recently?
He was bitten by one of his terriers the other day.
Did he cause those marks on your arm?
In the tussle of getting him restrained, he bit myself and Lockwood a few times.
I would advise you to wash and bandage those right away. He may have infected you as well. And please, find the beast that bit him and kill it.
What do you think he has?
I believe he has an advanced case of rabies, but he most likely won't make it through the night. I could stay with you until the end if you wish.
No! I wouldn't want to poison your new year. I just ask you one thing. Could you please not tell anyone of Fleet's real cause of death? I wouldn't want anyone to think of him as a fool.
Of course. I will return tomorrow to remove the body.
Dumois left, her face still washed with terror and disgust. I watched as she rode back to town. And in the background, Fleet continued to thrash and howl. His strength and energy knew no bounds. Strickland was pacing the room for 20 minutes until finally he looked at me.
I have an idea of what is wrong with him. But it is far-fetched.
What is it?
Perhaps the leper at the temple bewitched him for desecrating the image of Hanuman.
What? Even if that were true, the punishment couldn't have taken effect so quickly. Then, outside we heard something cough. Through the window we saw him. The leper from the temple. Though his eyes were covered by lesions, he seemed to stare at me. In an instant, he broke into a limping run. Strickland bound from the house after him with incredible speed. I grabbed the old shotgun mounted on the wall and some ropes from the stables and ran after them. I caught up not long later. Strickland was on top of the leper, strangling him.
What did you do to him? Tell me!
Strickland! Let him go! We need him if we're to fix Fleet.
I stood in terror. The silver man motioned me to hide when he was discovered. He tried to run, but the man pursued him and easily caught him. I watched as the man hurled him to the ground. That repugnant Englishman punched him in the face multiple times until blood ran down his mouth. I started to move towards him to help, but the silver man shook his head. So I obeyed his wishes and stopped. But then, The man began to strangle him, shaking him and screaming. The other man came from the house and broke them apart. And then they tied the silver man up and brought him back inside. And I returned to the temple defeated. Again.
We brought the leper into Fleet's room. Fleet's body was twisted and he was frothing at the mouth. Between gasping breaths, he snarled and screamed at us. But the leper made no attempt to escape.
Fix him, freak!
The leper didn't move. I looked at Strickland, the veins in his forehead about to burst. We were going to have to use extreme measures. I grabbed the fire poker and placed it in the fire, allowing it to heat up. And after a few minutes, Strickland took the poker and placed it right into the leper's chest. The leper didn't make a sound, but you could see the pain violently wash through his face.
Fix him, or you'll get it again!
The leper lay still. I looked at Strickland, and we continued the process throughout the night. And finally, as the sun broke the horizon, the leper relented. He motioned his head towards Fleet, and we untied him. He crawled, beating, and burned to Fleet's body. He lifted his hand and placed it on Fleet's mark. And then it was done. Fleet's body relaxed. He opened his eyes. To our relief, the green was gone. His spirit returned. We released the leper, and he limped off into the distance. We let Fleet sleep a few hours. Strickland and I wondered if he, hell, any of us, could recover. That shameful feeling from the night before returned. What had we done? Could it be undone? Dumois returned as promised with a nurse.
How is he?
If he is dead, it is best we quickly start our work. That smell can linger in the walls.
I don't know. He had a rough night. We've left him alone for the past couple of hours to let him rest.
Let's go in to discover his outcome.
We walked to Fleet's room, fully expecting him to be lying dead. However, upon opening the door, Fleet was sitting up, wide awake. The black splotches were gone.
Hello, dear friends. Happy New Year to you all. Has the doctor been called with a nurse? How long have I been sleeping? My head is pounding. I'll never mix my liquors again. I nearly died.
How could this be? He was in the end stage of rabies.
Perhaps you were wrong.
Well, since the patient is perfectly fine, it is time we returned.
Must have been one beastly hangover. Excuse me.
The silver man came back to the temple, beaten bloody and skin burned. Anger rose high within me. This was inhumane. The man was old and feeble, and they felt it right to do this. They are disgusting. I told the silver man I would make it right. But again, he just shook his head and touched his wounds. All was finished. The silver man exacted his revenge. I cleaned his cuts and bandaged his burns. And when I was finished, he got up and walked. I watched as he disappeared, traveling to his next destination. And that very afternoon, the two abusers returned to the temple. We wish to make it right. We came to offer our redress for the desecration of Hanuman. That is not true. What? No white man has ever touched the god.
But just the other night, my friend,
No white man has ever touched the god.
Listen, I don't think you understand. We have just spent the last day and a half reckoning with the punishment bestowed down upon him after he dug his cigar into...
I promise you, no white man has ever touched the god.
King of Kings Lutheran Church is a proud sponsor of our school's theater program.
At King of Kings, part of their mission is to be active in our community. They have uplifted this purpose by donating to the Loft stage for the past 10 years.
Our production, a trio of thrilling tales, is the most recent addition to King of Kings' support for their community.
Please enjoy the rest of the show.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren, and I will be your second host for the evening. I hope you all enjoyed story number 1. As you can see, we are disinfecting our booths between each use to ensure our actors' topmost safety. Are we COVID clear? COVID clear. Perfect. Let's meet our actors. Players, take to your booths.
That's enough.
And let me introduce to you our esteemed players. We have Robert Price Jr., Regina Cooper, Thomas Cruz, and Johnny Armstrong. And our sound technicians, Jason Melbourne, Alicia Kane, and Courtney Reynolds. And now, it is my pleasure to announce to you The Cask of Amontillado, written by Edgar Allan Poe and adapted by Marcy Penyon. Cue sound in 5, 4...
Revenge. Sweet revenge. I will have it. I will be avenged. I, Montressor, have lost my vineyard, my father, and my inheritance because of one man, Fortunato, whom I hate. Hate with a passion stronger than iron and hotter than the sun. I have waited long enough, and it is time. I shall have him.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh my.
And now, Lady Fortunato, we shall go and try the wine.
Oh, my lord, I believe you've had enough wine for the night. We must be on our way.
Absolutely not, my lady. I'm wearing this jester costume, and I must continue in my character guise. To be the life of the party, and one needs to sample more wine to do that. That is my role tonight. And the truth is, I have a good taste for wine, and can spot the good wine from the bad.
It is my gift.
But, my lord, you are drinking the bad wine along with the good one.
Ah, yes. That is how I can tell the difference. I can only appreciate the good wine when I taste the bad. I can spot from what region and grape a wine originates. I am a true enophile. No, stop.
Yes. Fortunato fancies himself a wine connoisseur and takes much pride in his knowledge. This is where my trap begins. Fortunato! It seems fitting that he is wearing the costume of a carnival jester. I made myself visible.
Ah, Montressor. I'll have another. The red this time.
My dear Fortunato, how lucky you are that we have met. You are looking very well and rating the wines of the evening, I see. Have you found a good one yet?
Ah, Montressor. I have yet to find a wine that suits the delicate balance that only my palate can ascertain. It is a gift from God. Oh, how is your father?
The insults never end. Why, you know very well that my father now resides in the Montressor vaults with his ancestors.
Ah, yes. I had forgotten. Well, we all have to go sometime.
On with my plan. My dear Fortunato, I've received a cask of what passes for Amontillado, but I have my doubts.
How? Amontillado? A cask? Impossible! And in the middle of a carnival? I have my doubts as well.
Yes, I was silly enough to pay the full Amontillado price without consulting you in the matter. I couldn't find you, and I made the purchase.
Amontillado?
Doubtful to be a true Amontillado.
Amontillado.
Come, lord, we must be off. We are expected elsewhere.
As you are engaged, I will be on my way to Lucrezi. If anyone can discern a good Amontillado, it is he.
Lucrezi? He cannot tell Amontillado from sherry.
And yet, there are many who have it that his taste is a match for your own.
Ah, come, Montressor, lead on. We must to your vaults.
My friend, no. I will not impose upon your good nature. You have an engagement.
Thank you, sir. He does. Now, my lord, let's be on our way.
Lady Fortunato, you must go on your own. My services are needed. I cannot, will not attend this engagement with you. Tell them that I have been asked to give some very important advice.
No.
And it is imperative that it be given tonight. Now, be off with you.
You will regret this when you wake up somewhere in the damp, dark cold with a pounding headache. I will not be looking for you. Sir Montressor, this clown is all yours.
Well, Montressor, my calendar for the evening is all clear. On to the Amontillado!
My friend, I'm aware that you are afflicted, and the vaults are cold and damp, and encrusted with black mold. It has been known to be toxic to those who have breathing difficulties.
Let's go nevertheless. Do not be concerned. I've been in more toxic air at the local pub, and this cold is merely nothing. Amontillado! You were going to go to Lucrezi. He cannot distinguish grape juice from Amontillado. Onward!
I proceeded to lead him to the ferry, to cross the river where my estate lies. Boatman!
I've just taken my last trip, sir. Now on to the carnival.
But we must get across. I'll make it well worth your while. I'll pay you double.
Triple. I have someone waiting.
Triple it is. Come, Fortunato, let us board.
A man of means now. Tell me, how did you recover from losing your vineyard?
As you know, my father died of shock when we lost the vineyards. I admit I am not recovered, but I am doing my best.
Unfortunate indeed.
But let's let bygones be bygones. I have forgotten all about it. Onward to the Amontillado!
Please sit still, or we will capsize.
Tell me, boatman, how do you know where you are going? Because it is pitch black in here, and I'm a little afraid because of how dark it is. And
I have the stars to guide me. In the light of the moon.
But my friend, what if it is cloudy? Then there are clouds covering everything and a bit of a haze and sometimes some fog, and I just don't really know what's going on. I'll get all shivery and
I
cold
follow
and-
the light.
Light? What light? I said it's pitch black. I can barely see my little fingers dingling.
Look there, and you will see the light on the dock. It is the light I follow.
Yes, there it is. A burning torch. That is the dock.
Ha! Yes, the light at the end of the tunnel.
My friend, I have brought with me a flask of Medoc. Would you like some?
But of course, how kind of you.
Ready yourselves for docking.
We depart. Watch your step, Fortunato.
Yes, I seem to have lost my sea legs.
You still owe me 15 lira.
Yes, my good man.
1, 2, 3, 14. Sounds about 15 to me. Thank you, sir. I will not be back tonight. You will have to find your own way back.
Yes, I have my boat here. Come, Fortunato, to my estate and the Cask of Amontillado.
The Amontillado!
The walk seemed interminable, but I kept the man drinking the Medoc. The flask was emptied just as we arrived. I knew the servants would be at the carnival. The house was empty. Here we are, good sir. Here is your torch. Just follow my lead. I led him down a long and winding staircase. When we reached the bottom, we stood together upon the damp grounds, in the catacombs of the Montressors. As we began walking, my friend was unsteady, and the bells upon his cap jingled with every step.
The cask?
A bit further, but have you not seen what gleams from these walls?
Yes, it is hard to miss the mold.
The black mold. My dear Fortunato, the fumes from the mold are too much for you. It took many minutes before he could speak.
It is nothing.
Come, we will go back. Your health is precious.
No.
You are rich, respected,
Oh.
admired,
Stop.
beloved.
Oh.
You are happy as once I was.
Oh, no.
You are a man to be missed.
Oh, well,
For me,
yes.
it is no matter. We must go back. You are ill, and I cannot be responsible.
Yes.
Besides, I can go to Lucrezi.
Ha! Lucrezi? He cannot distinguish Amontillado from pond water. Enough! This is nothing. A mere cough won't kill me. I shall not die of a cough.
True, true. I had no intention of alarming you, but you should use all proper caution. Here, a draught of the Medoc will defend us from the damps. I drew a bottle from long rows of its fellows that lay upon the mold. Drink.
I drink. To the buried. Repose around us.
And I, to your long life.
These vaults are extensive.
The Montressors are a great and numerous family.
I forget your motto.
Nemo me impuna lacessit.
Ah, yes. The foot. Crushing the snake.
No provocation without impunity.
A strong coat of arms indeed.
His eyes were reflecting the effects of the Medoc, and, well, I admit I was feeling quite warm from the Medoc as well. The mold, it is more prevalent. Come, let us go back, as I am worried for your health.
It is nothing. Let us go on. But first, another drink of the Medoc. Now, let us proceed to the Amontillado! Ha!
Be it so. We made our way through low arches and continued to descend. The foulness of the air made our torches seem to glow rather than flame. The remote end of the crypt's walls were lined with human remains piled to the vault overhead, much like the great catacombs of Paris. Within the walls of bones, we found a small interior crypt. It seemed to be of no use, though I had found a purpose.
Is it in here? Ah, so clever to keep a Cask of Amontillado so hidden. You take too much caution, my friend.
I hope that it has true value.
Lucrezi. He is an ignoramus. He does not know the difference between Amontillado and piss water. But it stops here.
I found the chain. And as he
Where
turned
is
to
the
me,
cask?
I wrapped the chain around him, and using a padlock, I chained him to the wall. It took just a few seconds to secure it.
Wait, what? What is going on, Montressor?
Pass your hand over the wall. You cannot help feeling the slipperiness of the mold. It is very damp and poisonous. Once more, let me implore you to return.
Yes, please, let me go.
No! I will not. So now, I must leave you.
The Amontillado?
The Amontillado. I took the bones and tossed them aside. I uncovered a quantity of building stone and mortar and began to build my wall.
Montressor, I demand that you stop at once and unchain me.
I laid the next tiers. I continued to build in spite of the sounds made by Fortunato. And in some way, found the noise quite motivating. And moved faster because of it. The wall was chest high. And I could barely see the figure on the other side.
You must let me out! I shall die here!
His
Montressor,
pitiful
please let me go!
screams caused me to tremble.
I cannot breathe!
And
this
I
is
thought of
insane!
rescuing
Please let
him.
me go!
But
Why
when
are
I
you doing
placed
this?
my hand upon
Please,
the catacombs,
let me go!
I was satisfied to keep going. I approached the wall
Montressor, please!
and continued my work.
Montressor! Montressor, this is indeed a very good joke! An excellent jest! We will have a rich laugh about it at the palazzo over our wine! The Amontillado! The Amontillado! But it is now getting late, and they will be waiting for us. Lady Fortunato and the rest. Let us be gone!
Yes, let us be gone.
For the love of God, Montressor!
Yes, for the love of God! To this, I received no response, and I grew impatient. Fortunato! No answer. I called again. Fortunato! I thrust my torch through the remaining opening and let it fall within. I became sick and hastened to close the last opening in the wall. I then piled all the bones in front of it. Fortunato! Fortunato! I was satisfied with my work. "50 years have passed, and the tomb was never discovered. I am the only one who knows what happened to that man of insults, Sir Fortunato. My duty to the Montressor coat of arms is fulfilled. Nemo me impuna lacessit. No one provokes me with impunity.
Salute.
Ladies and gentlemen, physical and virtual, thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Ethan, and I am the last host of this trio of thrilling tales. Tonight, we've taken you on a journey to the heart of the Himalayas to witness the mystical, horrifying tale, The Mark of the Beast. And then, beneath the crypts of Italy, to witness the dark, vengeful tale, The Cask of Amontillado. And now, for our third and final performance of the evening, we wanted to bring you something a little different. A cherry on top, if you will. But first, a message from our sponsors.
Hunter, Hunter, help! I've just been hit in the face by a baseball at 100 miles per hour. My teeth are so messed up now.
Well, Zoe, baseball clearly isn't your thing, but having beautifully straight teeth can be.
Really? How?
I'm glad you asked. Since 1995, Hensler & Koshian Orthodontics have been bringing you the pearly whites of your dreams. They provide a variety of options for every budget, including braces and Invisalign. Go to hkortho.com or call 651-739-1555 to learn more.
Wow. Thanks, Hunter. I'm glad a team of trained professionals will be able to fix my smile, so I can smile, shine, and take it one day at a time.
Just stay away from baseball for a while, okay?
Definitely.
Thank you, Hensler and Koshin. Now then, are we clear?
COVID clear.
We are COVID clear. I'll ask our players to take their places, and we'll make sure everything's right and ready for the show. Players? Places, please.
No way! How are you? It's been so long. Oh my God, is that you? I know, that's what I was saying.
Hello?
Yeah,
what
about you?
Hello?
What's
your name?
My name is Cole.
What?
So like you play yeah, like you know, walk better. Montressor. Yeah.
Oh.
What's your name?
Am I right?
Sure.
Excuse me, people. Thank you. And now, I'd like to introduce our cast for the evening. Starting up, we have Colby Fields, Nara Roberts, Lawrence Donahue.
How's it going?
Gigi Mae Jane.
Hi.
Tor Campbell.
Hello.
Darren Skulovitz, Amela Williams, and Cheryl Chow.
Hiya.
And in our sound booth, we have Jason Melbourne, Alicia Kane, and Courtney Reynolds. And now, before we begin our final show, we have one last message from our sponsors. Take a look.
Hey there, pal. You look down. What's wrong?
Well, I need to sell my home, but I have no idea what to do.
Well, I can help.
You can?
Well, yes, or rather, Kim Zaitin can.
Kim Zaitin? Who's that?
Kim Zaitin is the #1 real estate agent in Woodbury, Minnesota for Heller Williams.
Wow, she sounds fantastic. I'll call her right away. Kim? Great.
If you need help selling your home, hire a proven real estate agent to sell your biggest investment. Go to www.kimzaitin.com for more information.
Thank you, Kim Zaitin. Now, I'd like to introduce our final show of the evening. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the story by Oscar Wilde, adapted by Marcy Panion, The Canterville Ghost. Blair, 5, 4, 3.
I remember the day that we moved into Canterville Chase, a beautiful estate outside of London. And the stories of it being haunted by an ancient ghost? How exciting! Terrifying! And romantic. A ghost of my very own. I was eager to hear its ghoulish tale and delight in its playful hauntings. This is my story. I'm happy to tell you about it. The events at Canterville Chase have shaped my life and made me the woman I am.
The new owners of Canterville Chase will be arriving at any minute. Is everything ready?
Of course, sir. We've been ready since July. I understand that they're Americans, sir.
Yes, unfortunately. Our minister.
Is he aware of...
Of course, Mrs. Umney. Do you think I wouldn't tell them? I more than told them. I warned them.
They're here!
Welcome, Mr. Otis, to the Canterville Chase estate.
Lord Canterville, I am honored that you would welcome us. Thank you. This is my wife, Mrs. Otis.
Wonderful to meet you, sir.
This is my eldest son, Washington.
Sir.
My daughter, Virginia.
You can call me Jenny.
And the twins, we call them Stars and Stripes.
We're hungry!
I'm happy to have you here. I must warn you one last time. The last occupant, my grandaunt, the Dowager Duchess of Bolton, was frightened into a fit when she felt skeleton hands on her shoulders.
Don't mind me!
Mrs. Umney and our cook have also seen this frightening specter.
Yes, I have. Many times. Terrifying. But I stay out of loyalty to history and this estate. And I hope to be of assistance when it comes to the ghost.
I stay as well.
My lord, I'm well aware that along with the furniture, Mrs. Umney, and the cook, we have inherited a ghost. But I reckon the latter is a figment of the imagination. There is no such thing, sir. If there was, we would have already had them on display in America.
My word!
Well, don't say I didn't warn you. I must be off. Good day.
Would you like a ride?
No, thank you. It's a beautiful day. I will walk.
Come, Mrs. Otis. Let's look at our new home.
Darling,
Does anyone see that?
Ginny!
Father, I'll be in a minute.
Very well.
The first that I saw of the ghost's work was right behind the main door.
What is this stain on the carpet? Yes, ma'am. Blood has been spilt on that spot.
Not pig's blood, I'll tell you.
How horrid! I don't care what kind of blood. I can't have bloodstains in the sitting room. It must be removed at once. It is the blood of Lady Eleanor de Canterville, who was murdered on that very spot by her own husband, Sir Simon de Canterville, in 1575. Sir Simon died under mysterious circumstances himself 9 years later.
9 years later. Some say he was turned into a bat and flew into the forest. Hurrah! Hurrah!
But most believe it's his guilty spirit that haunts the chase. The blood stain is very admired by visitors. It cannot be removed.
Nonsense. We Americans have developed a stick that will clean anything. I shall clean it, Mother.
Oh, that'll be wonderful, dear.
See, I knew Pinkerton's champion stain remover would clean it up.
Mrs. Umney has fainted!
Oh dear, Miss Umney has fainted.
The ghost!
It's just a storm. No need to faint, Mrs. Umney.
No, it is the ghost!
The ghost! It is!
I'll tell you this, Mr. and Mrs. Otis. He'll go to no ends to scare you off. Or worse.
Don't you worry. Mrs. Otis and I have no fear of ghosts.
Oh, dear. And now, what's for lunch?
Yay! We're hungry. I have prepared rabbit stew with carrots and potatoes.
Sounds wonderful.
Shall we adjourn to the dining room?
My father was the first to meet our ghost in the first night in the house.
Is that chains? It sounds like the noise is coming from the hall closet.
You must see what it is.
Of course, my dear. Hello? Who's there? My dear sir, I must insist on oiling those chains. I have an amazing product for you called Tammany Rising Sun Lubricator. Made in America, of course. Please take my bottle and simply apply it to the chains and they will be silenced.
The ghost was stupefied and stunned.
Well, Lord Canterville was telling the truth. There is a ghost who haunts this estate.
Well, isn't that interesting? Will he keep the noise down then?
I would think so. I advised him to use the Tammany Rising Sun Lubricator. Sweet dreams, my dear.
Oh dear. I believe he may have indigestion. That sounds like he has a bad case. Poor fellow. Next time you see him, give him some Carters, little liver pills.
Over the next few days, the ghost, Sir Simon, was having a heyday with the bloodstain. One day it would appear to be a dull red color.
Oh no.
The next a vermilion.
Washington?
Yes, ma'am.
And then rich purple.
Oh!
I've got it.
And once it was a bright emerald green.
Green.
I found it very amusing. Sir Simon the Ghost became the center of conversation at breakfast. Every night, there would be a new mishap caused by the ghost. And every night, his efforts to scare us were unsuccessful. The twins found much enjoyment in tormenting the poor ghoul and went after him with their pea shooters.
Get him! I got him! Ouch! It went right through him!
The most humiliating trick my brothers played was when they made their own fake ghost and frightened Sir Simon. Quite comical. Quite the conversation at the dinner table.
You must leave that poor ghoul alone.
Never!
To my great disappointment, though, I was never the target for these hauntings. And I felt left out. I wanted so much to meet him. I believe that the work of frightening us was weakening him, as his groans seemed to be quieter. The bloodstain even disappeared, and the carpet was clean. He revived a bit when we would have visitors who were English. Mrs. Umney and Cook were victims of many a scare by the ghost. We did have many visitors from London, and it was one of these visits when I met the Duke of Cheshire.
You must be Miss Virginia Otis.
Ginny, please. Glad to meet you.
I am glad as well. Do you play cards?
Oh, yes. But I must warn you before committing more time with us. We have a ghost that tends to frighten our guests.
Oh, I know all about the ghost.
You do?
My granduncle cheated a man out of £50,000 during a card game, and he was visited by the spectre. The next morning, they found him on the floor of the card room in a helpless, paralytic state. He lived on to a great old age, but, unfortunately, could only say, "Knave of diamonds, ooh."
Oh, dear.
We have kept the secret in our family for quite some time. Do you ride?
Oh, yes. It's my favorite pastime. We spent his entire visit together, riding, playing cards, and swapping ghost stories. After a walk around the estate, I decided to change out of my riding clothes. I was walking up the back staircase when I spied a crumbled old figure of a person in the tapestry room. I thought it was Mrs. Umney. But as I stepped closer, I realized that it was not Mrs. Umney, but the Canterville Ghost himself! Sir!
Madam, please excuse my pitiful state. I've just been attacked by those young boys.
Please don't apologize. My brothers are leaving tomorrow for boarding school. They're little tricksters, but they're leaving. I promise that if you behave yourself, no one will bother you for some time.
It is absurd asking me to behave myself. I must rattle my chains and groan through the hallways. Ooh! It is my only reason for existing.
That is a truly wicked existence to lead. And from what Mrs. Umney told us, you also led a wicked existence in life. She said that you killed your wife?
It is true I killed my wife, but it was a purely family matter.
It is very wrong to kill people!
Oh, I hate the cheap severity of abstract ethics. My wife was very plain, never had properly starched my ruffs, and couldn't cook worth a sixpence. Why, I once shot a buck, a magnificent beast, and do you know how she fixed that? Well, it is no matter now, for it was long ago. I do not, however, think it was very nice of her brothers to starve me to death for killing her.
They starved you to death? Oh dear. Are you hungry? Do you want a sandwich?
No. Thank you, it is very kind of you, but I never eat anything now. You are much nicer than the rest of your horrid, rude, vulgar, dishonest family.
It is you who are rude and horrid and vulgar. And as for dishonesty, I know it was you who stole the paints out of my collection to refurbish your ridiculous bloodstain. You know, I never said anything. But I was very annoyed. And by the way, who has ever heard of emerald green blood?
Well, really, what was I to do? It is so difficult to get real blood nowadays. As for color, it's a matter of taste. The Cantervilles have blue blood, for instance, the very bluest in England. But I know you Americans don't care for things of this kind.
You know nothing about it. You must come to America, where you can improve your mind. You know, once in New York, you'll be a great success. You know, I know tons of people who would give $100,000 just to have a grandfather. And much more than that to have a family ghost.
I don't think I would like America. There is nothing there, no real history. Americans are disagreeable.
Well then, I'll say good evening to you. And I'll go and ask Papa to give the twins an extra week of holiday.
Please, don't go, Miss Virginia. I'm so lonely and unhappy. I don't know what to do, and I don't sleep.
That's absurd. I have no problem sleeping. Especially in church. Now, even babies know how to do that, and they're not very clever.
I haven't slept for 300 years.
Poor ghost. Have you no place you can sleep?
There is a little garden beyond the pine wood. There the grass grows long and deep, and the great white stars of the hemlock flower bloom. There the nightingale sings all night long. All night long he sings. and the cold crystal moon looks down. The yew tree spreads out its giant arms over the sleepers.
You mean the Garden of Death?
Yes, death! Oh, death must be so beautiful to lie in the soft brown earth with the grasses waving above one's head and listen to the silence. To have no yesterday and no tomorrow. To forget time, to forget life, to be at peace. Oh, perhaps you can help me. You could open the portals of death's house for me. For love is always with you, and love is stronger than death is. Have you ever read the old prophecy on the library window?
Often. When a golden girl can win, prayer from out the lips of sin. When a barren almond bears, and a little child gives away its tears, then shall all the house be still, and peace come to Canterville. But I don't know what it means.
It means that you must weep with me for my sins, because I have no tears, and pray with me for thy soul, because I have no faith. And then, since you've always been sweet and good and gentle, the angel of death will have mercy on me. I must warn you, you will see fearful shapes in the darkness, and wicked voices will whisper in your ear, but they will not harm you. A child who is pure cannot be harmed by the powers of hell.
I am not afraid. I will ask the angel to have mercy on you. Sir Simon took my hand with his icy fingers and swept us away.
What? Oh, all right.
Little Virginia, beware. Don't let him drag you under.
Quick, or it'll be too late!
Sir Simon of Canterville, in life you committed sins against your family and the natural world, and as punishment were doomed to wander the halls of Canterville forever. Yet, you have found a pure spirit who has come to attest to your changed character. You have been granted your rest.
Thank you.
I don't know how long I was gone, but it was enough for my family to worry. There was a hunt for me led by the Duke of Cheshire and my father.
We must call Scotland Yard. She has been gone too long.
Cecil and I will find her. Calm down, honey.
Where
We'll
could she
find
be?
her.
This isn't
Listen to
like
me. We'll
her.
find her. We will find her.
Where is my
Listen.
daughter? Virginia.
Good heavens, child. Where have you been? Cecil and I have been riding all over the country looking for you. Your mother is frightened to death. You must never play these practical jokes again.
Except on the ghost! Except on the ghost!
Oh, such a fuss from all of you. I wasn't gone for very long.
My own darling, thank God you are found.
Papa, I've been with the ghost. Look, he gave me this box of jewels. He'd been very wicked, but he was really sorry for all that he'd done. Now he's truly dead. You must come and see him.
Take us there.
I led them through a secret corridor to a large oak door studded with rusty nails. I touched the door, and it swung open to reveal a small room with a vaulted ceiling and one small window. chained to the wall, was a gaunt skeleton stretched across the floor as if it were reaching for something placed just out of reach. The jug it was reaching for was once filled with water, but now it was filled with green mold and dust. I knelt down and picked up the hand of the skeleton and began to pray silently.
So, that's how Sir Simon met his demise.
Tragic.
Look, the withered almond tree has blossomed. I can see the flowers plainly.
God has forgiven him.
What an angel you are. I love you.
Now, all of you should eat. I'm starving.
Me too. I hope it isn't broccoli.
We had a nice funeral for Sir Simon, and he was buried under the yew tree. I thought of the ghost description of the Garden of Death. My eyes began to fill with tears. As for the jewels, my father felt that they should be returned to the estate.
Oh, my dear Mr. Otis, what brings you to London?
My lord, I know that in this country, mortmain is how to apply to trinkets as well as to land, and it is quite clear to me that these jewels are, or should be, heirlooms in your family. I ask you to take them and regard them as your property.
I could not possibly do that. They're intended for your daughter.
My daughter is young, and thankfully has no interest in jewels. She would, however, like to keep the box. She has become quite attached to it.
My dear sir, your charming little daughter has rendered my unlucky ancestor, Sir Simon, a very important service. My family and I are much indebted to her for her marvelous courage and pluck. The jewels are clearly hers. I'd be a real cad to take them from her.
Lord Canterville was not to be swayed. I was able to keep the jewels. I wore a beautiful necklace the day I married the Duke of Cheshire.
Be good now, boy.
After our honeymoon, we went back to Canterville Chase and walked to the lonely churchyard by the pine woods. We had a great deal of difficulty deciding what to put on Sir Simon's tombstone, but finally decided to engrave the initials of the old gentleman, a verse from the library window. We placed roses at the site.
Ginny, a wife should have no secrets from her husband.
Cecil, I have no secrets from you.
Yes, you have. You never told me what happened to you when you were locked up with the ghost.
I've never told anyone, Cecil.
I know that, but perhaps you will tell me.
Ask me, Cecil. I cannot tell you.
Very well, then. You can have your secret as long as I have your heart.
You'll always have that, Cecil.
And you will tell our children someday, won't you?
And with that, I blushed and kissed him with all the love I had. Yes, I will tell of the events, and of the ghost whose gift to me is much more precious than the Canterville jewels. Poor, poor Simon. I owe him a great deal. He made me see what life is and what death signifies, and why love is stronger than both.
You are a wonder, my love.
Then we read Simon's tombstone together.
When a golden girl can win prayer from out the lips of sin, when the barren almond bears,
and a little child
gives away its tears, then shall all the house be still,
and peace come to Canterville.
And that is the story of the Canterville Ghost.
Once again, we would like to thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
And of course, donations are appreciated but not required. But for more information on that, please visit theloftstage.org.
We appreciate your continued support. Stay safe and have a great night.
You guys want to go to Applebee's?
Of course.
As long as we wear masks.